There's one thing that's at the root of all your anxiety: social anxiety, health anxiety, performance anxiety, you name it. In fact, it's not just at the root of all anxiety. You could also say it's at the root of all human unhappiness and most of the turmoil in the world. And the funny thing is, it's within you, and you have the power to turn it off once you know how to identify it and how to do it. I had to travel to Japan and spend 3.5 grueling years training as a Zen monk in one of the country's harshest traditional monasteries to learn this. In this video, I'm going to share the 2,500-year-old secret which I learned from my Zen master, which will allow you to be clearer, calmer, and happier than you ever imagined possible. That's a bold claim, I know, but stick around to the end and you'll see exactly what I mean. And by the way, we're currently using some of the techniques covered in this video as part of our 12-week cognitive reprogramming course, which is helping professionals, small business owners, and entrepreneurs completely eliminate their anxiety without decades of therapy and mind-numbing medication. We're seeing clients transform from a place of fearful repression to joyful expression in as little as 8 weeks. So if you'd like to see if this course is a good fit for you, please go ahead and click the link in the description below this video. You can book yourself in for a free, no obligation 30-minute discovery call, and we can see if this course makes sense for you. Right, with that said, let's dive into the video. Now, the problem that lies at the root of all your anxiety is actually thinking. And what you need to do is stop thinking. Now, this might sound impossible or even undesirable, but I can assure you that it's neither. People often think Zen training is about sitting in a tea garden, listening to the sound of the waterfall and a bamboo flute and just blissing out. But I can assure you it's nothing like that. The aim of Zen training is actually to stop thinking. Now, before you freak out and say, that's impossible, I can't do that, how am I going to live? I'm not suggesting that you turn yourself into some kind of thoughtless zombie. Of course, thinking is necessary in some everyday practical situations, and we need it for problem solving. But in reality, that's only a fraction of the kind of thinking that we actually do. According to Dr. Fred Luskin at Stanford University, the average person has around 60,000 thoughts per day. Of those, 75% are negative and 95% are repetitive. So while we do need a small amount of thinking to actually solve problems in our life, the reality is that we spend much of our time just caught up in a mindless babble, thinking about all kinds of nonsense, and I'm sure you can relate to this. And if you have anxiety, it's even worse. We spend a lot of the time catastrophizing, especially if we're entrepreneurs or business owners. We're thinking about what's going to happen if the business collapses, what will happen to our employees, what if there's another war, how is that going to impact the economy, what happens if another COVID pandemic hits us, oh my gosh, my business is going to go under. We sit there, we catastrophize, we lie awake at night, staring up at the ceiling, stomach acid boiling up into our throat, predicting all these nightmare scenarios. And the irony is that these catastrophes that we spend so much time and energy dreaming up actually rarely ever come true. And if they do ever come true, it's often our own anxious thinking which causes them. We become so anxious and so caught up in our negative thinking that we actually manifest the very thing that we're most fearful of. All very well, Ed, I can hear you say. So how do we go about stopping thinking? Well, the solution to thinking is not thinking. The solution, which I learned in Japan, is actually direct experience. And the way you experience reality directly is through the body, because the body is always in direct contact with experience, even while we might be off in some catastrophic dream world of our own creation. There's a famous saying in Zen which goes, you can't wash off blood with blood, which means you can't use the mind to stop the mind from thinking. You have to find an alternative route to come at it by, and that route is to actually use the body. This is why athletes and extreme sports people are able to enter a state of flow, or what's called samadhi in Zen, when they're in high-level competition or perhaps surfing down the face of a very big 60-foot wave which would potentially kill them if they were wiped out. They're so absorbed in the actual activity that thinking drops away and they merge with the activity that they're doing. Now, I'm not suggesting that you need to scale the Grand Canyon with no harness on or jump out of a plane just to get rid of your thinking and to get rid of your anxiety. There are actually many ways in everyday life that we can use our bodies to stop our thinking. The first and most fundamental of these is something called Zazen. Zazen is a way of using the whole mind and body to experience reality directly. And I won't be able to explain it all for you here, but what I'll do is I'll put a link to a video of my teacher in Japan explaining how to do it, and it's really quite simple. And if you can form a habit of doing this 5 minutes every day, I'm sure you will see differences in your life. The second way is what my teacher called become whatever you're doing, and this means to use your whole mind and body to throw yourself into the task that you're performing. Whether you're sitting on the toilet, whether you're chopping carrots, whether you're washing dishes, or whether you're taking the kids to school, you just throw your whole mind and body into that with a real intensity. You try to feel every sensation in your body, bring your mind right into your body, and that stops you going off into this abstract projected dream world that we create, what my teacher used to call a shadow world of our own creation. The third way to stop thinking is a basic technique which is taught in monasteries, and it's very helpful. And every time you find yourself thinking, you can just say, I'm thinking, oh, I'm thinking, oh, I'm thinking. And I will guarantee you that you have spent so much of your life actually living in an abstraction of reality, actually absorbed in thought rather than in the direct moment, that you will not even understand this. This will sound stupid to you. But when you actually start doing it habitually, and when you have that first insight of, I can feel what a thought is, and I see what a thought is, and I realize the difference between thought and reality, that will be a fundamental ground shift for you, and it will blow your mind as it did for me. And it's so basic and it sounds so elementary, but very few people outside of monasteries have actually experienced this, because we are so conditioned to just live in mental abstraction and thought. And it's like the water that we swim in as fish, and we just do not see it. So we're just living in thought all the time rather than living in reality. And when you get your first taste of that clear, fresh reality, you will remember that for the rest of your life. Right? That's everything I wanted to cover in this video. I hope these techniques will be useful. From the outside, I'm sure they sound very simple, but once you start applying them, these are the absolute foundation of cognitive reprogramming, and it will take you out of this world of thought and anxiety and bring your feet firmly onto the ground. So I hope it's useful. Please hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel so that you'll be kept up to date with all future content. And if you need anything, you can reach out to me via the email you'll see in the link in the description. And remember, if you want to work one-on-one with me, you can also fill out that form via the link in the description for a free discovery call. Take care, and I'll see you guys all very soon.